Ever been in a situation where you just can't seem to click with someone? Even when you're both trying.
Oh, definitely. It's like you're speaking different languages
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly. Like you're on totally different wavelengths. We've all been there, right? Scratching our heads.
Hmm.
Well, what if there was maybe a way to get a bit more insight into why people act the way they do?
That's kind of the puzzle we're tackling today, actually.
Uh-huh.
We're going to dive into this really interesting framework for understanding behavior.
Okay.
It uses four colors: red, yellow, green, and blue.
Hmm.
It's all based on this book, Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson.
Surrounded by idiots. Wow. Okay. That title definitely grabs you
Mhm.
and probably rings true for a few of us sometimes.
It does, yeah. It's catchy.
So beneath that title, what's the core idea? Is it just about putting people into like neat little boxes?
No, not really. It's more about recognizing that people tend to have, let's say, dominant behavioral styles. And these styles are influenced by their values, their attitudes, how they react to stuff. And the book suggests you can group these tendencies broadly into those four colors: red, yellow, green, blue.
Right, four colors. Seems simple on the surface for something as complex as personality. I remember seeing something about a quadrant model in the background stuff. How does that fit in?
Ah, yeah, the quadrant model. That's actually pretty helpful for visualizing it. Imagine like a cross.
Okay.
One line, one axis represents what drives us. Is it getting tasks done, solving problems, or is it more about relationships, people?
Task versus people, basically.
Exactly. And the other axis is about our energy, how we express ourselves. Are we more outgoing, active, expressive, or more reserved, maybe reflective, maybe a bit more passive?
Got it. Active versus reserve.
Right. And each color then sits in one of those four sections. It represents a mix of those drivers and expressions.
Ah, okay. So it's not just random colors. The color actually signifies like a specific combination of motivation and outward style. That
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for everyone listening, what's the main thing we want them to get from this deep dive into the colors? What's our mission here?
Well, our main goal is really to introduce these four styles, help understand their basic traits, and get people thinking about how this framework could be maybe a shortcut to understanding some patterns you see in people around you.
So, gaining a new perspective, maybe
Mm.
making sense of why people act the way they do sometimes.
That's the idea, yeah. A new lens.
All right, let's get into the colors themselves then. Should we kick things off with red? What's the driving force behind a red personality?
Okay, red. For reds, the big motivator is competition,
Hmm.
achieving results,
Mm.
winning, basically.
Winning,
They
okay.
have this really strong competitive drive
Mm.
and a lot of self-belief in getting tasks done. They often think they can do it best.
So, really focused on crossing the finish line first, that kind of person.
Precisely. Key traits you'll often spot are ambition, determination, very goal-oriented. They're driven by the outcome. Now, it's worth saying, sometimes that intense focus on winning,
Hmm.
it can come across to others as maybe a bit aggressive.
Mm-hmm. Even if that's not the intention.
Exactly. It's just their style, a nuance to keep in mind.
That's a good point. Easy to see how that strong drive could be, well, misinterpreted. Okay, moving on. What about yellow? What's their energy like?
Yellows, they are really marked by high energy, loads of enthusiasm, especially for new things, new ideas.
Oh, the ideas people.
Yeah, very much so. They have this natural curiosity, maybe more than some other styles, and they get really excited by anything novel or innovative. Quick to jump
So these are the folks who are always bubbling with ideas,
in.
energized by brainstorming sessions.
That's it. You'll generally find them optimistic, often quite talkative. They think out loud a lot,
Uh-huh.
and definitely enthusiastic, very sociable. They love interacting with people, getting that stimulation from new experiences.
Sounds great, but is there a flip side?
Well, sometimes that enthusiasm for the next new thing, it can mean they sometimes struggle a bit with follow through on current projects. That's something to consider.
Interesting. Yeah, their strength might also be a potential challenge area. Okay, let's shift to green. What are the key characteristics there?
Green personalities,
Yeah.
their core motivation is really about being helpful, supportive to the people around them.
Right.
Their focus tends to be less on, say, personal wins or even the task itself sometimes, and more on the group's well-being,
Yeah.
harmony, family, close relationship.
So they prioritize others.
Often, yes. Sometimes even before their own needs. Always ready to help out, lend an ear.
So these are the people who value stability, maybe the glue that holds a team together.
That's a really good way to put it, yeah. They're typically seen as calm, patient, very considerate of feelings, and incredibly loyal.
Loyalty sounds key.
It is. And it's also important to know, greens generally prefer stability. They can be resistant to change.
Ah, okay. Why is that?
Well, especially if the reasons aren't super clear or if they haven't had time to adjust. Routine, predictability, that gives them security.
Makes sense. Wanting harmony often goes with liking things comfortable and known. Okay, and finally, blue. What defines a blue personality?
Blues. They place a really high value on structure, quality, accuracy
Hmm.
in pretty much everything they do.
Structure and accuracy.
Yes. They approach tasks very meticulously, detail-oriented, and they're committed to high standards, making sure work is precise, correct.
So these are the planners, the ones checking the data, making sure everything lines up perfectly.
Exactly that. Key traits you'll see are thoughtfulness, being analytical, very precise in how they communicate and what they produce, and typically highly organized.
Organization is big for them.
Definitely. They like clear processes, reliable data, logical reasons for decisions. Sometimes, though, that intense focus on detail. Others might see it as being a bit overly critical.
Or maybe perfectionistic.
Yeah, maybe perfectionistic.
Okay, so we've got our four colors. Red, driving for results. Yellow, bringing that energy, enthusiasm. Green, focused on support, stability. And blue, valuing structure, precision. That
Yeah.
gives us a good foundation. But like we touched on, there's more to it, right? What kind of questions pop up immediately when you think about these styles interacting?
Oh, absolutely. Just knowing these basics opens up so many questions. Like, what are the natural strengths each style brings to a team or a relationship?
Right, and the weaknesses or blind spots.
Exactly. Potential challenges for each. And what happens when you mix them? Like red working with green or yellow with blue. Where's the synergy? Where might you get friction?
Yeah, the friction points. That's huge.
And how do you talk to each type effectively? Do you need to adjust your style? How do you even figure out your own main color or spot it in others?
Good question. Can you be more than one color? Like a blend?
That's another big one. Are people just one color or are there common blends? How do those combos work? And then the practical side.
Yeah, the so what?
Right. Where can you actually use this understanding? Workplace dynamics, personal relationships, leadership. How does it help day to day?
Wow, yeah, all those questions really show this is just the beginning. It's definitely not about pigeonholing people.
No, not at all. It's about getting a richer understanding of different tendencies, different ways people operate.
It's interesting, too, how these ideas spread. We looked at that proposal for a viral YouTube post plan using the same color idea. What's the thinking there? Trying to make this stuff go viral.
Well, that YouTube plan, it kind of highlights how appealing this framework is, right?
Right.
Especially the way Erickson presents it. The idea with the viral post format is basically to introduce the colors and their main traits really quickly, make it engaging, easy to share.
Using visuals and stuff?
Yeah, relatable questions, eye-catching visuals. The goal is to make it instantly understandable, get people thinking, oh, hey, that sounds like me, or I totally know someone like that.
So, sparking that initial curiosity
Yeah,
in that fast-paced online world.
exactly. It's about taking these core ideas about behavior and making them super accessible, maybe even a bit fun for a big audience, like a quick start guide to people.
Fascinating how you can explore it deeply in a book, but also boil it down for like a TikTok or a YouTube short.
Right. Both approaches, the book and the short video idea, they share that goal, giving us a framework to understand why people are different. The book goes deep, nuanced. The video aims for broad awareness, getting people to just start thinking about it.
Well, this initial look has definitely given me a lot to chew on. Makes you see those everyday interactions differently, doesn't it? Especially those moments where you're just baffled by someone's reaction.
Absolutely. And we really hope this deep dive has given everyone listening a solid starting point with this four-color model.
A new lens, like you said.
Yeah, something you can start experimenting with as you observe people interact with them.
Okay, so as we wrap up this colorful discussion, let's do a quick recap. We covered red personalities, driven, competitive.
Yellow's full of that infectious enthusiasm.
Greens are supportive, steady anchors.
And blue's valuing precision, careful analysis.
And hopefully people listening are already thinking, which one sounds most like me? Or maybe seeing these colors in friends, family, colleagues.
Yeah, exactly. Starting to map it onto your own world.
It really does make you reflect, maybe understand past interactions a bit better. And like both the book and that YouTube idea suggest just having a basic grasp of these styles,
Yeah,
it could be a really powerful tool.
definitely. For improving communication, building better relationships, navigating work stuff, all sorts of things.
Which brings us to maybe a final thought, something for our listeners to ponder.
Hmm.
How might really getting a handle on your own dominant color and the colors of the people you deal with regularly, how might that actually shift how you approach things?
Like collaboration on a project.
Yeah, or resolving disagreements,
Yeah.
or even just having, a better everyday chat.
It's a great question because this overview, it really is just scratching the surface, digging into the nuances, the blends. There's probably a lot more insight waiting there about just how complex and fascinating human interaction really is.